things are getting spicy with all these illegal immigrants being sent to these sanctuary cities. Most notably, yesterday we had Governor DeSantis sending 50 Venezuelan illegal immigrants to Marthas Vineyard. And that's not going over well. Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, we said we're a sanctuary city, but, you know, when they come here for sanctuary, oh, yeah. I mean, that's a hard no-go. This is Martha's Vineyard. This is wealthy, liberal enclave. Meanwhile, in New York, they've got about 11,000 illegal immigrants that have come there. And their mayor, Eric Carr, has said, you know what? We may need to think our right to housing. They've got a law on the books that says everybody gets a right to housing for a day. And we may need to rethink that. And the housing advocates are like, what? What are you talking about? How can that possibly be? Those are the two topics we're talking about right now. Let's jump on in. The Martha's Vineyard residents hit the roof as Governor DeSantis flies in 50 Venezuelan illegal immigrants to the affluent liberal enclave in stunning move straight out of the Texas Governor Abbott's playbook. I'm okay with it. I mean, if these cities are saying, hey, we'll provide sanctuary for anybody, then let them provide sanctuary. These border states have just been overrun, haven't they? Because our president is basically derelict in his duties to secure the southern border. Meanwhile, you've got Kamala Harris saying, hey, the border is secure. Doesn't really seem like it's secure when you got a couple 100,000 people coming through, right? A lot of these are Venezuelan immigrants because their country is so unstable because of, socialist policies. How's that working out? So while they're coming into our country, we've got socialist policies that are here. Interesting. Yeah. All right. Martha's Vineyard residents are reeling after two plane loads of migrants landed on the wealthy island. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis confirmed that he was responsible for sending the roughly 50 migrants. And they've got a $12 million, Florida's 2022 budget allowed $12 million of taxpayer money to go towards sending migrants out of the state. Bet you he could get a bunch more, right? I think people in America are saying, yeah, why not? Hey, if you're going to leave the southern border wide open like it has been, I think we're up to like 1.8 million people have come through the southern border in 2022. 1.8. Last year, I believe it was like 1.6. 1.8 million people. I mean, how does that work? What do we even have going? I mean, this makes no sense at all. You hear a lot of folks saying, wow, if the Republicans take charge, we're going to have a little look-see at this whole deal with the southern border and probably a number of other events, right? Hunter Biden laptop, origins of coronavirus. We got a laundry list of stuff that we need to get to. Let's check out this article. So the move by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to send roughly 50 immigrants, mostly from Venezuela, to the island came as a surprise to the affluent community. Oh, wait. Hey, now. Okay. Ooh, what happened? All right. Guess we need to get our beds open and whatnot. So you can handle 50. No problem. Right? It's like when we're talking about the mayor of New York, Eric Carr, he's at 11,000. Well, how about 1.8 million coming through your town? And one of the storylines here is El Paso is just wildly overrun. They don't have the capacity to deal with this. So why not spread the love around? That's the way I see it. Hey, if you claim that you're a sanctuary city, and that's what you're claiming, and folks are being sent your way because they need help, then you need to provide sanctuary because at these other border, Arizona and Texas, they're overrun. El Paso is just wildly overrun. So Martha's Vineyard residents and local officials have been quick to voice outrage at DeSantis and other GOP governors for their migrant transplant programs, with State Representative Dylan Fernandez calling the move evil and inhumane. Now, evil and inhumane is just letting the border be wide open and having things just go willy-nilly and basically no control over what's going on. That is just flat wrong. That's illegal. It's illegal per federal law. So why are we allowing this? Yeah, right? I mean, this is that far left thing where they just want to, they no borders. That was one of the things that came out in summer of 2020 was, they believe literally in no borders. And then at CHOP, what's the first thing they do when they take control of their socialist utopia? Yeah, they put in borders. Seattle Department of Transportation brings in a whole bunch of concrete barriers. Okay, this is our intersection. You guys got to stay back over there. And they had signs at the border, and you had border crossing. And, people talked about, well, they've got armed guards at the border. They kind of did. Now, they weren't not letting people in. It was, it's a big area. It's multiple block area. But it was kind of amusing to see, you believe in no borders until you need to secure your area. So I think the hypocrisy here is pretty amazing when you're calling the move evil and inhumane. No, you're just spreading the love around. We're spreading the love around because, President Biden's inability to secure the border, even though Vice President is saying, it's all good. It's all good. 1.8 million people through. It's totally secure. Republicans who call themselves Christians have been plotting for some time to use human lives, men, women, and children as political pawns, he said in a tweet. Well, what about just, working on securing that border and having a system with people coming through instead of this just ridiculous policy where it's a free-for-all? They look at us as rich liberal enclaves, said the Democrat, whose district includes all of Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket, in remarks to the Boston Globe. Well, they look at you as rich liberal enclaves because you are. Yeah. Interesting, right? Got a bunch of photos and just stuff going on. Our island jumped into action, putting together 50 beds, giving everyone a good meal, providing a play area for the children, making sure people have the health care and support that they need. That's fine and all for 50. Talk about 11,000 to New York. How about when you've got 5,000 going to Nantucket? How about you fly 5,000, just flight after flight after flight after flight? I'm sure DeSantis can get another $12 million in funding. How many flights could he afford? Just send them to Nantucket. Let's see what happens. Let's see what goes on. Just load up Nantucket with illegal immigrants because, they're a sanctuary city and they want to help out humankind because of our derelict federal laws basically not being upheld at the southern border. I don't see it any other way. I mean, it's crazy. It follows similar moves from the GOP governors from Texas and begin busing immigrants to Washington in April and recently added New York and Chicago as destinations. Now, Chicago, the governor there has basically said, we need federal help. We're already overrun. Everybody knows that Illinois and Chicago are just, they're run so poorly. And New York gets 11,000 and they go tilt. How about a few million? How about a few million? Yeah, how about that? How about we deal with that? See how that goes. I have no issue with it. I encourage it. I say, yeah, let's do this. All right. In a statement, DeSantis' office said, yes, Florida can confirm the 2 planes with illegal immigrants that arrived in Martha's Vineyard today. They were part of the state's relocation program to transport illegal immigrants to sanctuary destinations. The remarks continued. States like Massachusetts, New York, and California will better facilitate the care of these individuals who they have invited into our country by incentivizing illegal immigration through their destination as sanctuary states, through their designation as sanctuary states, and support for the Biden administration's open border policies. So you ask for, you're a sanctuary city and you ask for people to come in. Hey, we want to take care of them. I see this as, just helping your ability to help out mankind by taking on these illegal immigrants. They shouldn't be there in the first place, right? You should have a policy. People need to get in on, you've got to have structure. And we just don't at the southern border right now. So these other governors, they're basically just trying to move folks through. And this is what you get. So why wouldn't this happen? I mean, did you expect everybody to just come into Texas and Arizona and hang out there? No, we're just spreading the love around, right? Let's go on. Let's take a look and see what we got with New York City with Mayor Eric Carr. Now he knows how it feels. New York City Mayor Eric Adams, claims I kept saying Carr. Why did I say that? Drummer for Kiss? I think so, right? Eric Adams claims the Big Apple is near breaking point after Texas bust 11,000 migrants to the sanctuary city, while El Paso has thousands of immigrants sleeping on the streets. El Paso is just basically on tilt, right? They're just overrun. They're taking thousands more in, but their bandwidth has been wildly outstripped, as will Martha's Vineyard will be shortly. 50, no issues. 1,000, yeah. Because Martha's Vineyard has a population of what, I think like 15,000, something like that. You add another 2,000 to that, say you add 3,000, 20% of their population, they don't have any ability to handle that kind of capacity. So it'll be wild to see how this goes. This is an ongoing deal. When I saw that Martha's Vineyard was the next destination, I was like, good. That's what should be happening. On Monday, the city reportedly failed to properly, we're talking about New York City now. On Monday, New York City reportedly failed to properly shelter a group of 60 migrants that arrived from Texas. Didn't have capacity, couldn't work it out. They're on tilt. They're on the front end of tilt. Adams angered housing advocates after saying the city needed to reassess its right to shelter policy, which guarantees people the right to stay at a shelter for a given day. So you're a sanctuary city until you actually have to provide sanctuary. And that whole right to shelter policy, yeah, we may need to reimagine and rethink that, is what the mayor is saying. He's looking at the stats going, all right, we got this many in here already, and we already were at tilt with our own people. Oh, this isn't looking good. This is going to come to a head, isn't it? It's going to come to a head. It's going to be a good one. I mean, what do we have going on here? This is just chaos. It's just, you got the states, these states shipping people, busing people, flying people out because they need to spread this around because, one area at the border can only take so much of an influx. And they've been on tilt for months, for years now. I mean, since Biden got into office, this has just been a thing. Remember when Kamala Harris was deemed to be the czar of the southern border and she just basically did nothing? She literally did nothing. Did she do any? She didn't go down there. She did absolutely nothing. She must have looked at all the stat. I don't know what she did, but she must have looked at the stats and went, oh, yeah, I don't know what I can do to help here. But keep that border open. I mean, that's literally what happened, right? That's literally what happened. And when they asked her, have you been to the border? And she's like, no, but I haven't been to Europe either. Oh, okay. I feel so much better. Well, you haven't been there and you haven't been there. What are you doing? It's been interesting how she's just been kind of taken out of the spotlight, right? Just, you don't hear much about her. She's not front and center like she was in all anymore. Interesting. Wonder what her position will be if Biden runs. It's going to be an interesting 2024 is going to be a wild political ride, isn't it? Get through these midterms. Let's see how these midterms turn out. Because I kind of think you're seeing a ton of media that's trying to back the Democrats right now. It's all these stories. We're coming from behind. We're coming from behind. We're going to make this work. And then you kind of do a deep dive and you're like, okay, the polls are saying this. I don't know. And you got a bunch of Republicans that are kind of coming from behind, and they're making some headway. How about Herschel Walker? Yeah, that guy gets elected. He's a Republican, right? So, and he's, backed by Trump. That'll be an interesting one down in Georgia. If he can make that fly, that'll be wild. I don't know if that's good, but that'll be wild for sure. Among the group of arrivals in New York this month included some migrants from El Paso, which has been so inundated with migrants that shelters had to reject 1,000 of them, forcing them to sleep in the streets. You've literally got photos in this article. They're just, some of them are in sleeping bags. Some of them are on, thin mattresses. It's just a sad deal. You can't just have an open border and expect things to work out. That's okay. Just bring them all in. Because you've literally got millions of people from these third world countries that are suffering, and they're basically told, yeah, you can go here. It's going to be all good. What a cluster. Just no organization, no protocol, nothing along the lines of what we should have for a southern border. It's almost apocalyptic, said U.S. Representative Tony Gonzalez with El Paso, also likened to a third world country. That sucks. That sucks. Just because they have their location of where they are on the border, they are just getting hammered. So in a statement on Wednesday, Adams expressed frustration over Texas Governor Abbott's busing policy that's inundated the Big Apple with thousands of migrants and left a group of 60 without access to a shelter on Monday. I mean, what'd you expect? Of course this is going to happen. You're going to go tilt, just like the southern states have gone tilt. I mean, they're doing the best that they can, but you just have an open border policy and just, oh, come on in. It's going to be good. All right, come on in. I mean, I don't see any other way other than this is just, some people say that Biden should be, he should be thrown out of office for this. Maybe he should. I mean, we at least need to look at that, right? Is he going to make it to the end of his term? I don't know. Right? While some may want to use these extraordinary circumstances as an opportunity to play an unproductive game of gotcha, we will remain focused on supporting each of these individuals and families who need our city's help until we don't. That's literally what what Adams is saying. I mean, they're all, wanting to help people until, oh, yeah, we may need some federal support here. So Adams, however, is being called upon to do more after Legal Aid New York reported that the city has repeatedly failed to properly shelter groups of new migrants because they've reached capacity. Simple as that, right? I mean, they just have. Kind of like the southern states that sit on the border that is not being held right now. New York City is one of the few municipalities in the country with right to shelter laws, which guarantees that anyone who asks for shelter within a deadline must be given a place to stay that same day. And that's that policy is fine until you take in a massive influx like 11,000 illegal immigrants. And then all bets are off, right? Because you've only got bandwidth. You've only got the ability to handle so much coming through. And then what are you going to do? You're going to make it up? It's kind of like we just don't have enough homeless shelter beds here in Seattle nor in Portland to cover everybody. So if everybody wants to come in, get some shelter, it's a hard no-go. It's just don't have the capacity. Don't have the capacity to build it out fast enough. Yeah, so that's where this whole thing just kind of goes tilt and sideways, and that's where we sit. Legal Aid claimed that the city has more than enough shelters in place for the latest group of migrants and threatened legal action if the issue is not resolved. What a cluster. This could have been completely avoided by doing what you're supposed to do, which is secure the border. Instead, we've just got this wildly unmanageable deal where people just come in willy-nilly. One of the accounts that I read, they were talking about people going through 10 different countries before they get to these sanctuary cities. Can you imagine? Can you imagine how bad things are in their country to be willing to do this? And I've talked about this before. I always talk to my Uber driver and see where they're from and see, why they came here and what's going on. And so often it's because, hey, there's opportunity here in the U.S. You can come here and work hard and you can make something of yourselves. So, and then we've got all these Americans that are just roaming around homeless, shooting up drugs, and they're just kind of like, we need to be taken care of too. All this stuff, it's just not going well, right? I mean, it's not a long-term game plan that's going to pan out. You've got limitations. And that's where New York is coming up upon theirs. And they're just at that point where, no can do. Meanwhile, a humanitarian crisis is deepening in the Texas border town of El Paso, where nearly 1,000 migrants have been released to sleep on the streets amid a surge of illegal crossings that is overwhelming border patrol facilities again. It's just ongoing. Congressman Tony Gonzalez, a GOP U.S. representative, told the New York Post, "We have never seen anything like this. It's a scene that you would see in a third world country, not on the streets of El Paso." Yeah, it's led to scenes of misery with hundreds of migrants sleeping on the streets without access to toilets or showers, and residents say that the smell of human waste is overwhelming in the area. They have nowhere to go. They were told, "Hey, come on in. It'll all be good." Yeah, we're not going to boot you out. Come on in. There's nothing safe about having people roaming the streets. It's almost apocalyptic, Gonzalez, who represents part of El Paso, told the ABC affiliate. I'd argue that compassionate people who want to give the shirt off their back, but when there's no end in sight, it's just not fair. So that's where there's this disconnect of, well, we're a sanctuary city until we actually have to provide sanctuary. And then, yeah, we need to reimagine and rethink that approach, just like the mayor of New York is doing right now. All right, yeah, you can't really provide for all these folks. Oh, yeah, this isn't working out well. I mean, it's wild, isn't it? It's wild that we've got a situation due to the current presidency where these states are being impacted like this. I mean, they're not even working on regular, typical, stuff going on in their state. I'm sure their state has other stuff to do besides deal with this open border policy that is just running rampant through their cities. El Paso, I mean, they're just overwhelmed. They're overrun. So what do? They do the best that they can, and they send some folks wherever they can. Mayor or the governor is doing what he can to spread the love around. I don't blame these governors for doing what they're doing. I think DeSantis is sending the right message. Is some of this political? Absolutely. But they also don't have the bandwidth to take care of all these people like we're seeing in El Paso. So I don't blame either of these governors. I don't blame them at all. I say keep it going because that puts the right message out there. You got to secure that border. Make it happen. Do what you need to do, but get that message out there. And it's also another thing where make that vote count, right? I mean, you get what you pay for. And the policies that we're seeing here are so unmanageable that this is where we sit. Make that vote count in the midterms. Make that vote count in the 2024 elections. About all there is to it, right? Okay, that's it for me on this one. Thanks for being here. We'll catch up soon. Talk then. Bye for now.